Okay, let's jump right into this deep dive on the 2016 Ståhl paper.
Let's do it.
The really amazing thing here, the core breakthrough is almost counterintuitive. For years, you basically had to choose.
A huge trade-off, yes.
You could see what genes are turned on or where they were turned on, but you couldn't get both at the same time.
Right.
And this paper figured out how to get a full quantitative genome-wide RNA profile from a tissue sample.
Right.
Without destroying its physical location.
And that solved a massive gap in the methodology back then. The bottleneck was just so clear.
So what were the options before this?
Well, if you wanted that big genome-wide picture, you had bulk RNA sequencing.
Which means you just grind up the tissue.
You pulverize it. So you get a great gene list, but it's just an average signal. You lose all the positional context. You have no idea which cell type is doing what.
And location is everything in biology. You're just erasing it.
Completely. And, then you had single-cell sequencing, which gives you amazing detail.
But again, you have to dissolve the tissue to get the cells out. So the architecture is gone.
The native architecture is completely destroyed. And the older methods, things like MFFIH, they preserved the location.
But you could only look at, what, a few genes you already picked out?
A handful, exactly. So the mission was obvious. Get a whole transcriptome map, but keep those 2D spatial coordinates locked to the tissue slice.
Which brings us to figure 1, the big feasibility check. It really all came down to a pretty simple question, didn't it?
A very simple question. Could you put a tissue slice on a slide that's coated with primers, and would the RNA stick right where it was?
Without just diffusing away into a blur.
Exactly. So they took tissue sections from a mouse olfactory bulb, placed them on these slides coated with oligo-DT primers, which, grab the messenger RNA.
And they used fluorescence to actually see the DNA they were making right there on the slide.
And the result was, well, it was the moment that launched the whole field.
What did they find?
They found the cDNA was strictly localized, right under the cells where it came from. The lateral diffusion was minimal.
They actually put a number on it, which I love. An average diffusion of only 1.7 plus or minus 2 micrometers.
It's tiny. That one number proved that spatial capture was possible. The genetic information was staying put.
So once they knew the integrity was there, they could build the full platform. They created an array with over 1,000 of these tiny features on the slide.
And here's the really clever part. Each of those features, each of those little spots, had its own unique positional barcode.
A little digital GPS tag.
A GPS tag, exactly. It links the sequencing data from that spot right back to its XY coordinate on the tissue.
But they had to prove this new surface method was just as good as the old gold standard.
Oh, absolutely. And what they found was remarkable. They compared it to conventional in-solution RNA-seq, and the correlation was R equals 0.94.
So incredibly high. It proved the method wasn't biased. You weren't losing anything for this massive gain in location.
Right. And with that validation, they could immediately apply it. They mapped the mouse olfactory bulb, which is very neatly layered.
And it worked perfectly. It could easily tell the difference between the gene expression in, say, the glomerular layer versus the granular cell layer.
It was perfect for structured tissue.
But that raises the big question then. It's great for mapping clean layers. But what happens when you throw this completely unbiased method at something really complex and messy?
Like a human tumor biopsy.
Exactly. What kind of hidden patterns could you find that the old averaging methods would just completely miss?
And that is the climax of the paper in Figure 4. They applied it to human breast cancer. They didn't go in looking for specific genes. They just used machine learning, TSNE, to let the data cluster itself.
And the big reveal was the sheer amount of heterogeneity.
Yes. Not only did it easily distinguish the invasive cancer from the cancer in situ, but it found a surprisingly high degree of gene expression variability between 6 different in situ regions.
All within the same biopsy.
All within one slice. And that included important progression markers like KRT17 and GA6. It showed that ST can find these really critical molecular differences that would give you prognostic information.
Information that is just totally invisible if you grind the sample up.
Exactly. It's averaged out into oblivion.
So looking forward, what was the big innovation here? This paper basically established the whole coordinate-coded cDNA idea, didn't it?
It launched the entire modern field of spatial transcriptomics. It turned RNA-seq into this discovery-driven tool where you can find tissue domains you didn't even know existed.
And one of the coolest things is that the data you get is Well, it's permanent.
It's a permanent resource. You do the experiment once, and you have this full digital map of the tissue slice's transcriptome. You can go back and requery it computationally for any new gene, any new question, years later.
So to recap the 3 big takeaways for you listening. First, these positional barcodes let you get quantitative genome-wide data while keeping the 2D tissue structure.
Second, the method is really efficient and unbiased. That's proven by that fantastic RL 0.94 correlation with the gold standard.
And third, it can reveal this critical molecular heterogeneity inside complex tissues like tumors, which is just completely lost in average samples.
But it's important to remember the one limitation at the time, the feature size.
Right, the spots.
The spots were 100 micrometers in diameter. That means each spot was still averaging the signal from multiple cells. So the next big challenge for the field was obvious.
Pushing that resolution down to a true single cell.
Welcome to the Everyday Journal Club. I'm Hope, a biologist with 15 years of research experience, now fortunate to be working in a Nobel Prize-winning lab. This channel has 3 main goals. 1, to help you stay effortlessly updated on the latest scientific breakthroughs. No paywalls, no jargon overload. 2, to build a supportive community where we can exchange the most valuable experience-based research advice. 3, to share valuable strategies and concrete examples on how to achieve meaningful scientific breakthroughs. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll begin releasing content focused on the 3rd goal. Let's go! Let's make great science together.